Thank you, Professor Stulberg. I was wanting to bring it back a little bit more to what people here at home are thinking, and I want to maybe dig into something you alluded to at the top of the program, which is why is it important for us as Americans to stay engaged with these faraway issues, right? And specifically, I'm thinking about maybe, um, you know, say a working mom in Concord, New Hampshire, or as Senator Nunn and I call it down here in Georgia, in the little town of Concord, Georgia. For people living day to day in their lives, they're facing so many challenges right now, right? With inflation at the highest it's been in 40 years, and home values where they are. I mean, there's just so many challenges right now. So when someone's like having trouble getting baby formula, for example, and then they pick up a newspaper and read that we're talking about spending another $40 billion in the Ukraine situation, help us understand why this is such a vital thing for us to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right. Well, I mean, I think there are 2 points. One is economic, one is strategic. And I think the economic point is what we were talking about before, is that the increasing interdependencies. And we have to remember, this war didn't just occur out of nowhere. It occurred in a context, right? We were already facing inflationary challenges, supply chain problems. With this war, right, it is those problems have become accentuated, especially the inflationary issues, given the impact on energy prices. And we now live in a world where not only is oil globally interdependent, so when prices get high in one part of the world, they reverberate in another part of the world, but natural gas is increasingly becoming that, given liquefied natural gas development. So we should be concerned about these kinds of conflicts, especially in the middle of Europe, where we do so much trading that has a direct impact on our own economy, especially in a context where we were facing inflationary trends to begin with. So I think that this war has accentuated that link in that regard. The other one, which you mentioned Senator Nunn, and I would be remiss if I didn't point out the strategic issues that are at stake for us. Because again, if we don't understand the boundaries of competition that occurs across all of these different political, economic, energy, strategic lines, we can readily blunder into a primary issue for us where our national interests are at stake with Russia, and turning a secondary concern materially into a primary concern. So we have a lot at stake here because, as I mentioned earlier, the international arena is undergoing transition. And many of the old rules and institutions that we had in place worked well for a previous era, but are being taxed. And arguably maybe not appropriate, given the trade in data and services as opposed to trade, the role of financial institutions. These are institutions that are not as well developed for an evolving landscape that then have direct implications for us. And especially when countries like Russia see those different domains, financial, energy, economics, as part of their calculus of war, and elections, that part of where they feel they can intervene, given that they think that they're already at war with us, where we don't necessarily think we're at war, but we treat those issues as out of bounds when they intervene, that then can lead to a slippery slope of escalation. And that's why we need to be concerned about it, because the boundaries are not clear, and we are increasingly in an interdependent world. And we were facing these trends towards inflation and already having supply chain problems going into this crisis.